What do I do on my own? I don't maybe trust myself on my own because we worked on so many things in our lesson. It feels like I don't know what I'm doing. So now what do I do when I'm not with you? Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Onyie and this is Onyie Sings. Welcome everyone. If this is your first time visiting, thank you so much for coming by. I don't know what brought you here, but I hope you hang around and so glad to have you. And if you are returning, as always, yay! And thank you so much for coming back. Thank you so much for coming by. Thank you so much for being. Thank every single one of you for watching these videos. And I hope you continue to come back, support the channel, and say hello. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And speaking of coming back, feel free to subscribe. You can subscribe right now. Just push that subscribe button, or you can wait till the end of the video and smash my face to subscribe. Today we're doing something a little different than usual. This is a little more casual than my usual videos, mainly because today I'm just letting everyone know that I am in fact a voice teacher IRL, in real life, and I am now offering voice lessons for everyone. Yay! So if you are interested in taking voice lessons with me, especially those of you who have been following and watching all the voice lesson videos all the way up till now, I offer actual voice lessons. Now, because of what's happening in the world right now, my lessons are in fact remote. They are online. The platforms I'm using currently are Zoom and Whereby. So with Whereby in particular, you don't even need an app. I can just send a link and we are all set. But either way, I'm very excited to get to teach online to all of you folks, and feel free to reach out to me either through my Instagram, which is the one and Onyie, my Facebook, which is Onyie Sings, or right here on YouTube, Onyie Sings. As you're here already, no problem. Feel free to message me or leave a comment and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So the other part of today's video is just going over what it's like to take voice lessons with me. So this is very particular to me, but there's a good chance there's a lot of voice teachers whose studios or lessons pretty much go this way. But I did want to let you all know what I do, how it goes, just so you're not surprised. With my lessons, I always begin with a warm-up. That is end all be all. It will always be the beginning of the lesson. It will always start with a warm-up. Now, I have already said several times in other videos that I'm big on making sure that you are well fed and well hydrated before you go into a lesson, and that is the same with my lessons. I beg that my students make sure you've eaten and you've had water before you come into the lesson, and hold on to that water throughout the lesson. So we begin with a warm-up. Yay! We do the warm-up, and my warm-ups are pretty similar across the board depending on the program for the students. Some things might be slightly different from student to student, but for the most part my warm-ups go pretty similarly person to person. After the warm-up, we go into the program. So the program is whatever we're working on. Be it a song, if we're specifically working on one particular song, if we're working on one particular technique, if we're working on a particular exercise, what have you. This is the point in the lesson where we just really hone in on the big stuff we need to work on. I prefer 1 hour lessons, but I do offer half-hour lessons. The only thing with a half-hour lesson is it's harder to get in a good warm-up and then get into the meat and potatoes. So that usually means it'll be a bit of a shorter warm-up, but I will never have you singing more than you've warmed up to handle, if that makes sense. So if we do have really hefty singing ahead of us, then the warm-up might end up being half the lesson, just to make sure that your voice is in the right place to really get into the nitty-gritty, the hefty lifting of the meat and potatoes. Now, I will never let you leave my lesson without doing a cool down, and that is a way to cool down your muscles, much like if you work out. When you work out, you have to do a cool down at the very end to make sure that you don't hurt yourself and injure yourself from soreness and tight muscles, because that's what happens after a workout. Same with the voice. With your voice, after an entire session, that's basically a workout for your vocal folds. So I like to bring the vocal folds back down to rest, get your larynx to come back down to rest, because more often than not, the larynx will start to raise throughout a long period of singing, and we want to bring it back down, bring everything back down to rest before I send you on your way with your voice. I always consider the cool down, both in a workout and in singing, as something of dessert at the end, because it feels so good. I always use like oohs and things like that that'll feel relaxing and helps actually stimulate your nervous system in a way to bring it to rest as well. I try to make sure everything in almost a holistic way is relaxed at the end, because it's great to leave a lesson on a high of sorts, on a good note. And I feel like no matter what you've been through all through the lesson, no matter what the meat and potatoes were, if we can come down to a cool down where you feel reset and relaxed, that's a great way to leave, and hopefully energized to come back. Energized to do whatever work we have done, and energized to do your homework, because at the end of the lesson there's usually some kind of homework. And the homework when we do lessons is usually stuff that has to do with whatever we're working on in a lesson. So it'll be work on this one particular measure of the song or this phrase of the song, go through and start marking your breaths in the song. That's one big thing that I often have students do. Make sure you mark in your music where your breaths are. Things like that will be your homework. So it's not hard homework. It's not even really annoying homework. It's just stuff that has to get done. And it's just easier if I give you an assignment of it versus hoping that you'll do it on your own. It also kind of gives you a guidance when it comes to practicing on your own. Because I do know that sometimes it's odd. Sometimes it's hard to figure out, what do I do on my own? I don't maybe trust myself on my own because we worked on so many things in our lesson. It feels like I don't know what I'm doing. So now what do I do when I'm not with you? And I feel like when I give you a homework lesson, it gives you something to do. It gives you structure to your practice sessions, which helps, I'm sure. I hope. So there it ends the video. I have no idea how to end this today because it's such a different style than I'm used to doing, and it's so much more casual. So I'm like, Thank you so much for coming by. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down below. And if you're interested in taking lessons, again, feel free to message me here, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you know how to reach me, and we can discuss scheduling, pricing, and all the other things that go into setting up voice lessons. Again, thank you so much for joining me, and don't forget, we have a playlist now full of all the voice lesson videos. So even if you can't take a voice lesson right now, feel free to peruse this playlist and get tips and tricks all right here at your fingertips. As always, thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed what you saw, like, share, and say hello there. Bye! So after we get through the... And after we get through the meat and potatoes of the lesson, the big hairy stuff... That's not to do that. Patrick takes voice lessons. You should too. No. Am I doing this? Thank you again for joining me. Thank you again for joining me. Thank you again so much for joining. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Again, thank you so much. Yeah. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Again, thank you so much for joining me. I think that's it. And let's go brine that chicken.